All right, back to work. Chicago Hockey Radio. Happy Monday, everybody. Lee Grassman, Justin Lynch, and Tassos Kirkos bringing it to you live and in color. Monday morning, start of the week. Everybody had a nice day off yesterday. Hawks are off until Wednesday when Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and the Edmonton Oilers are in town. Congratulations to our giveaway winner. I won't give away his last name, but his name is Brandon. So shout out Brandon. Won 4 tickets.
Shout out Brandon.
Shout out Brandon. Really cool. Got to give away the tickets. He was pretty pumped about it. So thank you to everybody who entered the ticket giveaway we did with the barn. Those are 4 really nice seats. And, you know, Lee and I went in a week ago now to go meet with Spencer Montgomery, the owner of the barn, and just was super cool to us. And I think we're going to do some cool stuff with them in the future. So I feel like that was the start of a nice budding relationship there with us and them. So shout out them for hooking us up with those tickets to give away, and shout out Brandon for winning them, and shout out all of you for entering. That was a fun giveaway for us that helped us out a lot. Live show Wednesday, March 5th, almost a month from Wednesday's show. Ooh. It will be so we will be live streaming the game in person against the Ottawa Senators, whole rooftop of Midwest Coast Brewing. It is such a nice spot. I went to go check it out last week. I mean, it's beautiful up there. The beer is really good. We have our own little area. You know, there's a huge TV. We're going to pull up the CHSN nonsense and be streaming the game there. So
we won't be able to watch it there, right? That'll be all good.
Yeah, no, we will be able to watch it. It's really cool, actually, from like the rooftop. It's got like a nice glass roof on it, and you can see like the top of the United Center from like where we'll be sitting. Awesome. Yeah, it's really awesome. Yeah. RSVP link is in the description of this episode. Even if you're not going, fill out the RSVP link. Let us know that you're not going. Let us know if you are coming, if you're thinking about it. You can let us know. There's like an area for like being a bit more descriptive than yes or no. So you can let us know if you're thinking about coming. You know, maybe it's a bit too far out. We're going to keep mentioning it every show going forward, so you guys will know
when it's coming.
When it's coming. You guys should definitely know
something
when it's coming.
Big is coming. Looking forward to it.
Maybe it's like you won't know until like the week of, depending on like work and stuff like that. But just, you know, shoot us a message in the RSVP link down below. So helps out a lot. Join the Discord, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Doing it all. You guys are great. So back at it Monday morning. Hawks, like I said, they don't play until Wednesday. So we have plenty of time to tee up the game against McDavid and co. I figured we'd probably do some more cleanup. There's also some bits and pieces of news, if you couldn't tell by the title and thumbnail. Arty Levshunov has been called up for the first time to the National Hockey League. Yeah, it is an Arty party. All right. Where do you guys want to start news and notes? You guys want to start with this Levshunov stuff?
Yeah, sure. Why not? So Louis Crevier's placed an IR, so they had to call up somebody, and Levshunov got the call. Super pumped about it at first, right? Hell yeah, we're going to see Arty Party make his Hawks debut against game action. Actually, no, we won't. He's just here to play in the practice squad. So yeah. It looks like we got narrowly edged there a little bit of excitement, but I'll just read off the quote from KD there that kind of justifies it. With the AHL currently in their all-star break, we felt this would be a good opportunity for Arty's development to come and get some NHL-level practice experience, something he was not able to do during training camp this season due to his injury. While we don't expect him to see any game action during this recall, we're confident that experience will be a positive one for Arty as he continues on this development path. So I guess it makes sense. And I've kind of said this before. Like, he's kind of been playing catch up all season. He got injured. I think it was like the NHL rookie showcase or something, and he missed the prospect showcase of the Hawks. He missed the training camp. He missed the preseason, a little bit of the start of the season too in Rockford. So that's kind of tough for a 19-year-old in his first pro season playing catch up all year. And he's had a okay season and ups and downs there. Rockford, right? He did have points in back-to-back games of the weekend, pretty strong there, but he had a goal too. But I think we'd all agree probably a little underwhelming, to be fair. But it's his first season, so I think maybe to be fair, right? But I think maybe this could give him some confidence, right? Just a few practice reps at the Hawks. I mean, I think some people complain that he's not playing, but like, I've watched a lot of his tape in Rockford. I don't think he's ready. If he was ready, I'd love to see him get some game action. But at this point, that'd probably do more harm than good. So I understand why he's not, but he's also here on standby to imagine if there's an injury or something. But maybe they call somebody else up. We'll see. But yeah.
It's a smart move in the meantime, right? Like, the spot's available, all-star break, let your second overall pick come up, practice with the team. Obviously, we all want to see him in a Blackhawk sweater, but as Justin just pointed out, it might not quite be that time yet. The other side of that really, really sucks is that Louis Crevier's on concussion protocol and is on IR now.
He got injured early in that last game, yeah.
I know we've had certain discussions on the show about, is this guy going to be a future, true NHL defenseman, and is he going to be an NHL defenseman for the Blackhawks? But regardless of that, he's been a big part of this D-core this season. He's been playing on that second unit with Alex Vlasic every single game, and they've been pretty not as of late. They haven't been as good, but overall this season they've been good together. So hopefully he's okay and he's not out for too long, because the reality is he plays a lot of minutes for the D-core. So hopefully he's all right. That was kind of a brutal hit. Tassos corrected me how to say that guy's name 3 times. Is it Gadjevich?
Yeah, Jonah Gadjevich.
Yeah.
Gadgets. Gadgets itch.
Pretty dirty. We didn't really talk about it too much on the post game, but kind of a dirty hit. Crevier is a tall dude. So I don't know. It felt a little intentional. I don't know if you guys feel a different way about it, but he went straight into his face.
And it takes a lot to injure that guy. He's the mountain, 6'8", 200 whatever pounds. So it takes a lot to get him down. It definitely put the Hawks in a tricky spot the rest of the game, because then you got to roll 5 defensemen. One of them just coming back from injury, Connor Murphy. So I think that was probably a big part of why the Cats were able to pounce on the way they were last game. Yeah.
Yeah, true that. Speaking of that game, Justin, you were not on the post game with us, but I'm sure you have some thoughts. I think Tassos and I broke a lot of it down, but now that we're, several hours removed from it, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it was pretty brutal, right? There's been a few more blowouts recently, although the last few games, I think, before have been kind of close. But it's a shame because, Landon Slagger sets the tone, right? 7 seconds in, fastest goal in Blackhawks history. Absolute cinema. Love to see that. Landon Slagger, man. I know there's been the Hay goal has been thrown around a bit, but I could see it, man. I think he definitely has a future at this club. Thought he's one of the few players that game who showed energy consistent, throughout the game. But really impressed with him these 3 games he's been up. But that's about it with the positives. The rest of the game was just terrible. I think it was one of those cases too where it's you could analyze it all you want. It's just a better team, right? And they just outplayed us. In terms of the dump and chase system, they just had us hemmed in all game. It felt like we were always a step behind, and we just couldn't keep up with their style of play. For them, it felt like a practice out there. It felt like they weren't even giving it their all. And from that standpoint, it was just too easy for them. So definitely a tough game. It just sucks though to start off a game with that style and then just completely just lay off. There's no team that just is worse at keeping and maintaining momentum and getting it back than the Hawks. They're just never able to do it. I think it's a team like that, they're going to take advantage of that. So on the positive side though, the road trip is over and they're back home now, which they definitely can need. But that's always a good thing. They have 3 days to kind of let that rest and reset here, because that was a pretty brutal game. I think this team definitely needed a bit of a break for sure. Yeah.
I know Tassos doesn't love hearing that rest and reset, and this team needs a little bit of a break. But
they're gonna get a break pretty soon anyway at the 4 Nations, and they got 3 games in 4 days anyway. So maybe it would have been better if they didn't have 3 days off. But just watching this team though, I do think they could use it. Yeah.
Yeah, these guys are 25-year-old pro athletes. They're okay without a break. We need the break. I said this on the post game for anybody that didn't listen. That's what the money's for. I'm sorry. Figure it out.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah. There's always a break this time of year with the All-Star stuff and the shenanigans and the 4 Nations. I think maybe it's a little bit longer than usual. I could be wrong in that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so from that standpoint, I think just to get back to I think I have a few more things to say with the Arty thing. There's really no harm in it, right? The AHL is on their All-Star break right now, so just to get him a few practices up here at the squad, there's really, just build his confidence up there. There's really no harm, no foul with it before the Hawks go on their break for the All-Star 4 Nations stuff. So I think it makes sense from that standpoint. It's disappointing to see him play, but I get it. Yeah.
Do you think we'll see him at any point this year, maybe at the end of the season, or is he staying in AHL all year?
Well, that depends on how he looks the rest of the season. I do have high expectations the rest of the year from him. I want to see a little more out of his game, a little more progression. Just show more jumps in his game. Right now, I would answer that question no. I don't think he's ready, but we've got a few more months left here, a lot of weeks left. So maybe at the end of the season, he makes a few games just to kind of get that debut under the way, get a few games under his belt. Could be good for him. See where he's at. See where his development's at. See how far away he is. I still think next season, though, it's probably more likely he's an Ice Hawk than a Blackhawk. Maybe he plays a few games here and there, but I think he's a ways to go in his development at this point. but he's going to have a whole off season too. So we'll see. He could be on the Hawks next year, but this year, no, I'd probably answer that question. He's probably an ice hog for the season. Yeah.
I think depending on how the rest of the season goes, they might play him a few games just because one, it's a PR thing, right? In the midst of what has been a pretty miserable season, you get to paint the picture that, hey, here's the second overall pick and he's going to make his NHL debut and everybody come to the game. And, you know, like I wouldn't be surprised if they did it at home. And if they, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for that reason alone, not because he's ready, but I do think it might be something that the team is looking to do at some point here for good press. I like that they're bringing him into practice, though. I think it's a good, you know, just be around National Hockey Leaguers, see how far away you are from being where you want to be, seeing the level you need to get to, the speed, the, you know, intensity, all that sort of stuff. So
it's experience, right? Otherwise, you'd just be sitting around doing nothing over this break. So there's really no harm, no foul in just being in the NHL locker room, right? He's going to learn a lot, see where his game is at, and maybe he could translate, you know, learn some things and take that to the NHL the rest of the season, right? But I do think if he plays the Hawks, it'll be like a dumbass show situation from last season, maybe a couple games at the end of the year, but that's it. Not like a long stretch.
No.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you there. We do have some clips from after Saturday's game. Which one do you guys maybe want to start with?
We'll start with the 7 seconds legend, Landon Slagger. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see off the opening draw?
I was just focused on getting some pressure on their defenseman. The puck kind of just squirted to an area, and I saw that I could get on it first, and just caught a break, but ended up working out and got a chance.
Did you realize that you made Blackhawks history with that?
Not until I just heard it. Actually, Ryan Donato, he was saying in the little pile there that it might be the fastest, but it's kind of funny to hear.
You beat Brent Sutter by 1 second back in 1995. So, what do you have to say?
I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Just kind of just happened pretty quick. So,
you like afternoon game?
It's like these guys aren't even trying, you know. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh, did you know you broke a Blackhawks record?
Talk about it.
No, I had no idea.
That was the first thing going through his head when he puts the puck in the net. Like, that was the record.
He's like,
wasn't
did I get it? Did I get it?
He knew it was 8 seconds, so he wanted to make sure he get that extra 1 second in there. I'm sure he knew that on the opening draw there. That was the set play there, was to get him that record, right? I'm sure everybody knew about it.
It's like they asked him about it first, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's crazy. I just found out about it now." And then he asked him again, and it's just like, "What do you have to say for yourself?" Like, what? I don't know, dude.
Plus, they just lost 5-1. Like, what do you expect? Do you think he's going to gas himself up? No, like, I'm sure he doesn't really care. I mean, it looks good. It's a piece of history, right? But at the end of the day, it is kind of one of those ESPN stats. Like, what does it really mean? Like, not really much, especially if you're not coming away with the win. But, still cool to see. Like, what do you think? He's not going to show any emotion after that, especially after the way the game went. Yeah.
It's like, right before the opening draw, that's what they were focused on. Like, hey, guys, we're going to get the fastest goal in team history right here. Yeah. Like, let's do it. That's our only goal for the game is to get the record. Like,
I mean,
come on.
If they came out and said that, I'd believe them. That game kind of did look like the only thing they cared about was beating the 8-second goal record for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, if games were 7 seconds long, this Hawks team would be playoff contenders, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Do we want to listen to Coach Andrew Sorensen?
Yeah, sure. I think here he's kind of responding to the comments about Mark Messier and how he should have benched Bedard, and we'll get to that later, but we'll hear his response first.
I hesitate to even bring this up, but on the broadcast, Mark Messier was critical of Connor Bedard and of you for not benching him for, I'm not even sure, not being hard enough on the puck or something like that. Mm-hmm. What's your assessment of Connor's play today and just in general?
I mean, I think we all had a tough game. I don't think it was just him. I think, again, it was a group thing, and they were kind of all over us there, and we had a hard time finding any space.
Is that the end of the clip? Yeah.
Yeah, he just says so afterwards.
Yeah. I mean,
do we want to open that?
Yeah. Look, right. I know.
Let's segue to the Messier comments. I basically want to use that as a segue because I know you all touched on a little bit of the post-game show, but woof for Mark Messier and PK Subban here. I mean, the play in question, was Bedard soft defensively on his stick? Yes, it's fair to critique him there, but like And y'all said in the postgame, the puck should have been out of the zone to begin with. TJ Brody was the one who made the error.
It was a howler,
right? And Bedard clearly expected the puck to get out as anybody else when that situation was caught off guard. And Reinhardt's one of the strongest in his stick in those situations. So was it a soft play? Yes, but there's nothing about that play where it's like, oh, you benched the guy. It's not like he wasn't trying. It's not like he was like egregious defensive error there. He just got beat. Like that happens to a 19-year-old, right? And he said like Mark Messier's like, oh, it shouldn't be in the power play. Like, dude, if Bedard is on the power play, who the hell is going to do anything? Like, he is the power play. Like, it's not the same situation. Subban referenced Michkov. Not the same situation. He's like, oh, it's going to make him a better player. What the hell has Matt playing Michkov done lately? I think he's gone like the last 8 games without any production. Like he's clearly not in a good situation there in Philly.
Well, the Flyers haven't scored in 3.
The Flyers haven't scored in 3 games. The point is, like, he's clearly doesn't really have a great relationship with Torts at the moment. So at least it's pure strained. Whereas Sorensen's kind of let Bedard do his thing, and it showed. Like he's been a point per game player since he's taken over. Right. Sometimes the best coaching is not coaching like too much. Right. That's kind of what Richardson was doing. Right. He's letting him play his game. You can tell these ESPN guys aren't watching every Hawks game too. Like it's easy to from their comfortable studios though to put the blame Bedard because he was on the ice. It's a narrative, right? But I mean, he was one of the few players. I think he responded well after that too. I thought his third period was good. His response was solid. Was it one of his best games? No, but it's like, dude, 16 of his last 19 games is at production. So I mean, it's easy to put the blame on him when things don't go the team's way. But that's just kind of a casual way to spice things up because without Bedard, they have nothing to talk about. This Hawks team. Let's be real here.
Yeah. It kind of just feels like clip farming. It's like, if you watch that whole play and you take out the fact that Connor Bedard is, who he is and the phenom and 19 years old, if you take that aspect out and he's like a 26-year-old guy, you're not even bringing him up. You're criticizing TJ Brody for having 3 seconds to get the puck out of the zone and flipping a muffin up to Sam Reinhart, who's cosplaying Jalen Johnson on the blue line and intercepting it and taking it right back into the zone. Like, you're not even talking about the center who was already trying to get out of the zone. Like, what are we even doing here? And just like, you got to make him earn it. Like he's not going to play on the first power play unit. What are we doing here, guys? Come on.
Okay, so I do have a couple of points here. To completely absolve Bedard from any sort of blame at any time is a bit, it's misguided, right, fellas? Like,
of course,
I mean,
yes.
like, look.
We're absolving a blame, yeah.
Like, yes, should TJ Brody have gotten the puck out of the zone? Yes. Does Connor Bedard need to be harder on his stick when he knows that there's a player, arguably one of the hottest players in Sam Reinhart over the course of the last 2.5, 3 seasons on the ice, right? Like, yeah, probably a little bit. Like, you got to be aware when you're out there that it's not Eetu Luostarinen or Jonah Gadjevic or, whoever else who still put one in the net, right? You got to be harder on your stick. I'm not going to say that. The other point is about the power play, right? It seems like the power play has gotten a bit predictable with the Blackhawks, clearly, because you have these facilitator pieces and then you have the guy that the power play runs through in Connor Bedard. And you and I talked about this on the live stream. And, it made part of the clip. People were wondering what cookies were. Cookies are points, by the way. Like when players are looking for cookies, right? No, cookies are any sort of points. Like they want their cookies, right? Like they want points, they want goals, they want assists, like
numbers.
Yes.
The Hawks power play runs through Bedard. If you could shut him down, you shut down the power play.
Exactly. But I think that's already started. It's happened already, right? And when Lee and I were doing the stream, the modern day NHL power play is at the minute 30, minute 40 mark of the power play. That's when the second unit goes out there. It's like, here you go, guys. Here's the final 20, 25, 30 seconds of the power play. Yeah. I've noticed recently over the past few times, whenever the second power play gets an extended look, longer than 20 seconds, they play hard, right? So what I suggested to Lee on the live stream was let's
start the second
unit. Start the second unit. Yes, I understand that Bedard is the biggest offensive weapon on the team. You could argue maybe the only offensive weapon on the team, but there's not anything wrong with giving him a little bit of a challenge, right? Like, no, I don't think you necessarily need to bench him a la John Tortorella, but you can do things that might get him to push a little harder. Because sometimes I watch him play and it's like he expects these things like the goal against Tampa Bay, like these sick moments, to just sort of happen for him because he is who he is.
You got to make it happen.
You got to make it happen, right? And then you got to do it 200 feet. You got to play a full 200-foot game. I saw a clip from Craig Button, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but it gives you something to think about, right? It was Craig Button on, I think it was like the TSN Overdrive show, basically saying that Austin Matthews should not be considered among one of the great players in the National Hockey League right now. When you're having the conversation of best players in the NHL right now, he was saying Austin Matthews should not be considered in that because you have a guy like Leon Draisaitl who is playing like just miles ahead of him. And that's difficult to deny, right? Like Leon Draisaitl is not only, like top 3 in the NHL in scoring right now, right? He leads the NHL in goals. But if you watch Leon Draisaitl defend,
he's a 200-foot player.
He's a 200-foot player, right? So yes, do I necessarily agree that Austin Matthews shouldn't be in consideration for best player in the world? No. But, if you're not forcing a 200-foot game on a young player, whether it's Michkov, whether it's Bedard, you're going to end up one day with an incomplete player, right?
Okay, yeah, there's the thing of Bedard too is he's a center too, so it's more expected. Patrick Kane was a winger, and like those Hawks teams were built where he never really had to be a 200-foot player because he always played with guys who are really strong, both ends of the ice, defensively, offensively, etc. Whereas Bedard, he's the 1C, so he's expected to kind of develop into that role. And he's 19, right? It's going to happen. It doesn't happen overnight. It's going to be a gradual process. I think it'll get better as the team improves too. I do think this season compared to last, his rookie year, he has been a bit better for that aspect. I think his all-around game has improved. It's not anywhere you want to see it, when we're prime years again, he's in his prime, you want to see it improve. But I do think he's made some gains. But it's clear he still has a lot of work to do there from that standpoint, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I think the point that you're making isn't the same thing as what Messier was saying. Messier was saying, like, you bench him, and like the power play issue is that's like a team problem. Like the first
it's not
unit,
a Bedard problem.
Yeah,
like,
but if it runs through him, then it is a him problem.
But he can't do it by himself.
Yeah, but so the solution to that is not take Bedard out of the power play. It's to let the second unit have some reps and then send these guys out later as like a kick.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah, but it's not like you're not saying you got to take Bedard off the power play. I don't know. We're talking about a guy who played like 7 games this year with Jason Dickinson and Ilya Mikheyev, and it's like I just don't understand this like weird like hyper fixation on his defensive game. Like, yes, could he be stronger? Yes. Do we want him to improve? Yes. Does he have to improve? Yes. Obviously, all those things are true. He's 19 years old. Sam Reinhart has the second most goals in the league. Like maybe he has.
So be aware he's out there.
I think he was aware. He just got beat. He's in.
Yeah,
Sam
I think
Reinhart's
that's
in
experience.
his prime and is tearing up the NHL. And we're like, why is Bedard not stronger there? It's like, because he's 19 and that's one of the best goal scorers in the league. That's why he's not stronger there. Dude, and then fucking Brent Sopel on Twitter pissing me off.
Oh, this is even worse. This is a dinosaur, all that take. I'll let you get into it.
Dude,
yeah, this is...
So CHGO posted some, literally that clip, basically, of talking about Anders Sorensen responding to Mark Messier, whatever. Brent Sopel replies, his habits are awful, and you won't win letting playing this selfish ever. Doesn't even make grammatical sense, whatever.
That's not even English. Godzilla had a stroke trying to read that.
And Mario responds from CHGO, goes, what does he do that is selfish play? And he goes, there isn't a single tweet to tell you. Doesn't battle for pucks, doesn't back check, bad body language, got one coach fired already. And then Mario's like, over the past 2 years, Bedard's third on the team in takeaways behind Vlasic Dickinson, being 18, 19 years old, having the hockey world down your throat, well experienced, blah, blah, blah. And Brent Sobel goes, keep making up excuses. I understand you need to feed your family. Bro, what?
Why do you make that pro for no reason? It's like, I love how like Mario's like tweeting all these stats his way, and he's got like no argument like it, to the in retribution of that. It's like, and that is something to be said. Bedard is good at that. He is good at the takeaways. He's good at those stick checks, right? Sometimes I think he relies on stick too much, but like he kind of has to with his frame. He has to be good at that. But like there are parts of his defensive game that are strong, right? But the all-around aspect needs to be better. Yes, but like he's a second-year player. This team sucks. His supporting cast sucks. Like he's on the worst team in hockey. Like what do you expect?
Bro, but what are these old dudes doing? Like, why are you acting like that on Twitter? Like, first of all, that was just like a Twitter bot response from Brent Sopel. Like, I understand you got to feed your family. Like Mario's the one making the crazy take. It's like, Sopel, you won a Stanley Cup with Patrick Kane. That guy didn't even try to play defense for his first few years.
Bedard at least does. Yeah, the effort is there, Bedard. Like, I'm sick of these takes, these body language and stuff. Like, he's a teenager who's frustrated with losing. I think anybody would have, poor body language, which I don't even think he does. I think that's just the way he is. He always kind of has like that stone cold like look on his face during these games. People mistake that for bad body language.
I'm gonna say, like, I have had the take after I think like 3 or 4 different times at points this season that the body language is noticeable. Like, there are times like he's slamming his stick on the ice, he's slamming his stick over the bench.
I think that's fair though. I think that's expected, right? I'd be pissed off if he wasn't showing that emotion.
I guess at the same point too, like, if you're this kid and clearly he's aware of the pieces around him, how piss poor the team is, you can't, like, I've had this discussion before, right? Like, we've had this discussion. You can't go in there and ask, I'm sorry to do this to Louis Crevier, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't ask some of these guys to be better hockey players than they are, right? You have to accept the fact, like, then go have a conversation with Kyle and say, hey, like, I can't play with these guys.
Bring in Mikko Rantanen.
Bring in somebody. Like, go do something, because you can't expect Ilya Mikheyev and Ryan Donato and et cetera, like, these guys. Like, Tyler Bertuzzi is the only semblance of, like, a competent hockey player after Bedard on this team. So what are you getting mad at? In my mind, like, what are you mad at? Are you mad these guys suck?
I think it's more himself. I think it's more like he expects more out of his game, but it's like, I don't know if he realizes like he can't do it by himself, right? He needs that supporting cast. I don't know if he even knows that.
I just don't understand this take. Like, you guys played sports growing up. Like, have you guys played sport? Like, losing sucks. If you're the worst team in the league, it fucking sucks. Like,
I agree with you. Why are you saying that?
No. I'm not. I'm just talking here. I'm not saying you don't. I guess I'm more Tassos and like Brent Sopel. It's like, dude, losing fucking sucks. And Connor Bedard, knowing what he's capable of, and if he's not, achieving what he thinks he's capable of, that's going to be frustrating. It's not just how bad the team is. It's like he expects a level out of himself. I don't understand it. I could never say that he has bad body language after losing, because I was the sorest loser playing sports my entire life. I hate fucking losing. Like, I just, when I see that, it's like, yeah, he's fucking pissed off. He just missed the shot. I would do the same shit. I don't understand it.
Yeah, like you never see like the same response in terms of like, Sharks players too. It's always like, oh, look at Celebrini over there. Looks so happy over there in San Jose Sharks Slam. Like, look at the different like juxtapositions of like that in the Hawks. It's like, well, I see a winner. I see somebody with a Kobe Mamba mentality. Bedard who's not going to take losing. Who's not going to accept it. Right. I think that's the right mentality to have. Like, I don't think that's a problem. I think that's a good thing. I'm happy that he has that expectation of himself and the team. Right. I think you have to have that to be the best. So I think it's the right way to go about things. I don't think there's anything there. I think the media is like on to nothing there.
Show me a good loser, I'll show you a loser. I don't need to have good losers on my team. I'm good on that.
I get it. I just, there's different ways to display that than, shooting the puck in the net after the overtime winner goes in, or, breaking a stick or slamming it down. Like, I think there's better way, because that paints you as a sore loser. Like, that paints you as a, like, and there's a difference between, like, you use negativity to fuel becoming better, or you let it bog you down, right?
Okay, so that Carolina game where we were getting absolutely dominated in that second period, that we had that, that 3-minute span where we let in 2 goals. Connor Bedard was clearly pissed off. He started flying around the ice, hitting everything that moved, and then he scored a goal. What are we looking for here? I mean, as far as like this team is clearly rebuilding, right? We're all very bullish on this team. We have a ton of prospects. We're going forward. In the hierarchy of issues this team has, having too many sore losers is the bottom, the basement of my worries for this squad. I wish more people would look pissed off on this team. That's been the problem for so much of the year.
There's too many NPCs. They're accepting it, right?
It's like, guys, like, I don't care if you have good body language after getting scored on for the 4th time in a game. Like, what does that get you? I don't know. I understand the point. Like, you don't want him pouting or whatever, but it's like, dude, he's 19 years old. He's obviously hyper competitive. Winning's obviously the only thing this kid cares about. Like, all he does is play hockey, and all he wants to do in hockey is win. And when you're not doing that, it's like that's his whole life. And it's not going well. Like, I'd be frustrated too. I don't know. I don't buy too much into the body language thing. I think this is all situational. I think once this team starts turning around and gets better and this team starts winning, nobody's going to be talking about this anymore. If anything, we're going to look back on this and be like, oh, when Connor Bedard was like losing, he hated it. He was disgusted by it. Like, that's what we want out of young prospects, to refuse. Like, that's going to be, I guarantee you that's going to be the narrative down the road. But
it's a character building moment, right? I think it's almost a necessary evil to go through, right? Like, he's going to learn from this, and he's become a better player as a result of it, right? When we are good again, like, we'll look back on that time as like, that was a moment for him that he learned and took advantage of it and became better as a result, right? Yeah.
I just think you don't need to, like, there is a line between, all of these different talking points, right? Like, do I think Connor Bedard is a perfect hockey player just yet? No, I don't. Do I think that there are times maybe where other players are looking to defer to him? Yeah, I do. And sometimes that's leading to other mistakes on the ice. Like, players try and force Bedard the puck, and it ends up being a turnover going the other way. Like, that has happened. Do I think, some of these guys, and I don't know, right? Like Nazar doesn't really defer to Bedard, right? Like, which is a good thing. Like, I don't think he needs to. I don't think that, Frank Nazar needs to establish himself as his own player who's able to do his own things. Like, he's not just
that's a good point.
Bedard's wingman, to get him the puck, right? So look, do I think, I like, there's such a fine, like, you can't say, like, I don't think he needs to be benched. I don't think, but I don't think there are things that can't be done to try and push this kid a little bit more, right? Like, other guys need to be a bit more selfish with the puck. Sometimes you need to throw over the second power play unit first. Sometimes, like, don't even put him out there. Like, not because he doesn't deserve to be on the power play, but because other players are force feeding him the puck. And you know what? When you're a 19-year-old kid and you are the talk of the town, you're probably this city's best athlete, right? You cannot, like, hockey is a team game. Like, it requires not just all 5 guys out there on the ice, but it requires a deep lineup of 22 men to be able to accomplish the ultimate goal. And I think Bedard will always be the focal point of that, even if they bring in Mikko Rantanen and better depth pieces, and the young kids start.
It's his team. It always will be his team. You're building it around him. Yeah.
But there's a line between becoming, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, and becoming an Austin Matthews, right? And I think Austin Matthews is a phenomenal player. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the NHL, but there are times where I watch him and I think, man, this guy still has a lot to learn about winning. And, I would rather see Connor Bedard turn into Leon Draisaitl, right?
You want to?
Well, I think a big problem too with this team is, like, most of Bedard's line mates are too unselfish, and Bedard isn't selfish enough, right? They're always looking for Bedard to give them the puck, but Bedard's not shooting enough, right? He's been too unselfish because he wants to set up his line mates. That's his game too. So there's kind of a conflict of interest there as well, right?
Yeah, I think Connor Bedard could be a whole lot more selfish. Crystal said in chat that the vets aren't angry enough about losing, and that makes her angry.
But the kids are. That's like the right people are pissed off about it. Like, you want to see the future players, just core players, are pissed off of it. It must be said. It seemed like the young players are consistently more fed up than the veterans who are making the paycheck, right, and lugging around out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of people following this team have made similar remarks throughout the season, and something that we maybe haven't talked about a ton on the show is, like, these optional skates and optional practices. Who's there? Who's going to those?
They should be.
It's always the under 23 guys. Yeah, they should. Like, honestly, there shouldn't be such thing as an optional practice for this team, right?
Not when you stink.
Yeah, no, like, this team needs it. It needs that ice time, right? A lot of times it's only the young players take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Optional skates are for Stanley Cup contenders that actually need a night off because they're playing so hard.
And they're playing deep into the summer.
Yeah.
Consistently.
It's not like this team has played a lot of hockey relative to most, right? They've had all these long off seasons, etc. So they need to build. They need to use that time to build.
Yeah, they've known they're only playing 82 for the past few seasons here.
This is a team that's apparently still figuring out their identity over halfway through the season. So they definitely are a team that needs as much ice time as they can get.
No identity talk, please.
Can we do an entire podcast of identity talk?
No. I did send,
identity is just your ass.
I did send Raven the Subban Messier clip.
I deleted that just
Why?
because I thought you guys moved on from it for a while ago.
No, we've been talking about it this is the discussion. This is what breeds from that discussion. I'll filibuster while Raven pulls it back up. But I just think that they're to pretend, like when you and Chief were going at it on Twitter and he called you a cult member for Connor Bedard. Like, I don't agree with him at all. But
if anyone's a cool member for Bedard, it's me.
Well, yeah, no.
Justin
First
is.
of all,
Justin
yes,
is,
Justin is, but this is a kid that has the potential, right? And we talk about there's stars in the NHL, and then there are superstars in the NHL.
He could be the best player in the NHL one day, so you want to get the best out of him. Yeah.
But he could also not be. Like, it's not going to happen just because he was really good when he was 16, 17, 18. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
natural ability is not going to care. Like, he needs that coaching. He needs that mentoring. He needs those learning experiences, right?
Yeah. Look, I do think the Brent Sopel comments are caveman-esque, but to pretend that there aren't flaws in his game is also just misguided.
There are flaws in his game, but it's not that he's a selfish kid. It's not that he's a selfish player, and that's what's going to keep them from losing. The flaws in his game are that he's small and not very good defensively and gets beaten pretty easily, and he's not that great at holding onto the puck when people are being physical with him. Like, those are the flaws in his game.
I think a lot of the flaws in this game will be fixed when the team improves and he has an actual supporting cast. I think that'll help as well.
No, I think more than that, just when he gets older and bigger, like when he has to be more.
Like, he's still developing. Like, generally, your talents, like they still develop, they still become better, right? So that applies to every player. Like, he's still a lot to learn, right? And I think we will. Yeah.
To push back a little bit, Justin, to say that he will get better as the team gets better, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
You're going to get all these better players, and he'll have guys that are finishing the chances. He's setting up a bit more, and the cookies will come, right? But that's not going to necessarily fix
production.
the
It doesn't
defensive.
necessarily mean
Production will go up, but it won't fix the liabilities we're talking about.
Yeah, I think the point Tassos is kind of making is that this team will truly get better when Connor Bedard truly gets better. Like when
I think it goes both ways.
When Bedard's able to do all these
Yeah.
things, like that alone will make the team significantly better, and it's fair. But also, when he has more talent around him, that will obviously be an easier process.
I also don't think Bedard, he needs to get better defensively. Like, I don't think we expect this guy to be like a Selke candidate one day. Like, he doesn't need to be like, I don't know, Patrice Bergeron or Jonathan Toews, but he does need to be not a liability from that aspect, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there is something to be said about that. Like, you can't change the type of player a guy is. Like, you're not going to turn him into Patrice Bergeron. If it,
And we have had this argument before, like, if Bedard, he is a center, but is he more of a natural winger? Is he more of a Patrick Kane, right? But you have to have the 1C to be able to do that. And, at the moment, he is obviously the 1C, and, nobody's going to, that's his role. Yeah.
Do we have the mess clip?
Yes.
I'm sorry, the excuses for a young player are over now. He has to be better than that, and sure enough, they get a power play and he goes right onto the ice. Bedard, there has to be consequences, and if there's not, it'll destroy the morale of the team.
Look at John Tortorella and what he's doing with Matvei Michkov.
Yeah.
Tough on him. Matvei Michkov's going to be better off before that. It's tough becoming a 200-foot player when you're a skilled player in the National Hockey League. You look at Crosby had to do it, McKinnon had to do it, McDavid had to do it. Connor Bedard's going to have to do it too. It's going to take him some time, but you got to buy in. That's winning hockey.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't agree with the clip. I do think that Justin was right when he said that the Michkov comparison isn't even really justified, because like I do think where Michkov is as a defensive player and where Bedard is as a defensive player, different stratospheres. Like both of them aren't really, you know, up to par, but it's not like, you know, and maybe that's their point. I mean, I don't know. Like Michkov, you're trying to get to bring up to a certain level, you know, even the level that Bedard is. And yeah, you want to see Bedard. No, he doesn't need to be Barkov or Bergeron or Kopitar or whoever, right? But you know, I don't know. I just think of guys like Sebastian Aho, right? Like Sebastian Aho is not a liability out there. You know, so you're just like trying to raise the level of these guys. No, I don't think Bedard like missing a shift is really the answer. You know, maybe it's a bit of an entitlement thing too. Like I don't know. But
I think if you're gonna hold a kid accountable, like I agree that I don't agree that taking him off the power play and like, you know, taking shifts from him is the solution. Obviously everybody needs to be held accountable, and there is a fair argument to, you know, are there really anybody there keeping Connor Bedard accountable? Maybe not, but that's why you need to go out this offseason and
get an actual coach.
Get a real head coach, because Anders Sorensen isn't really in the position, even if taking him off the power play or like taking shifts from him was the right move to make. Anders Sorensen is not really in a position to do that.
He's an interim guy, right? He's a placeholder. He's more of a player, a developmental guy. He's not like a real coach, that aspect, if that makes sense.
But if you're Anders, isn't that the way you become the coach?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is to do something
It's
drastic.
a risky move, though. Like, by benching your star player. Like,
you're already looking at not being, you know what I mean? Like, I think if you gave him truth serum and said, hey, do you think you're going to be the head coach? Do you think you have a realistic shot at, you know, having the Hawks remove the interim tag and you're the full-time guy going into next season? He would say no, you know? So first of all, why are you in this position? Why are you even working up to this position if you personally don't feel like you have what it takes to make the tough calls when it's necessary, right? Like I said, it doesn't need to be to bench him. Like, you know, Torts sat Michkov the whole second half of a game last week that they ended up.
And they got like a shouting match.
Yeah. Like, you don't necessarily need to do that, but you know, like I always draw it back to the Maple Leafs here, right? Where like I watch guys like Matthews and Marner, and there is a complacency there. But the only guy in Toronto who takes any sort of lumps or criticism is William Nylander. And William Nylander is the only guy that shows up come playoff time. But, you know, if you look at it, he's the only guy that ever misses a shift. He's the only guy that ever, like, you know, anytime Matthews and Marner have terrible games together or they don't look good, guess what? The very next game, they're trotted back out there, the two of them. Because Matthews is like, I want to play with Mitch and, you know, whatever. Like, and I just think that there are ways, if you're Anders Sorensen, that you could be like, hey, you know, maybe I'm not going to be the guy next year, but I'm going to make sure my presence is felt here during my time. Like, this isn't just going to be a wash of 6 months. And, you know, I just kind of like, and maybe he's that kind of guy too, you know, Swedish, laid back, you know, he's not really like super intense, super, you know, like grab a guy by the collar and be like, hey, like, you know, I need you to do better. I need you to be better. You know, I'm gonna either tell it to your face, or I'm gonna just, you know, say I'm gonna sit you down a shift or put the second power play unit out there first. Like, I don't know if he's got necessarily the stones to be able to do it, but that's how you become the guy, right?
Yes, but dude, I just think that, like, going back to the mess thing, it's like, are you guys even thinking about like what the outcome of that is? It's
the fan outrage would be insane.
Well, not just the fan outrage, but like we've talked about this extensively on the show. Just the media treatment of the Hawks and Bedard versus like the Sharks and the young players there. It's like, dude, if you sit this kid and you bench him when he's already
they'll be on your ass.
Like, it would just be a nightmare situation. And if you think that's gonna help, I don't think that would help the kid's confidence or
high risk, low yield investment. But here's the thing, Bedard too. Like, it's not to cut you off there, but like, I don't think it's like it's not like he's not aware of it. It's like there are players who are liabilities, like who are poor defensively, who are oblivious to it, right? Like Bedard knows, and you know he's trying to be better. He's trying to improve that aspect. I think it's a big part of why he shows that frustration. So I think he is working on it from that aspect. It's not like he's ignorant to it. Yeah.
All right. Connor Murphy made his return to the lineup. Did not look great.
Not
in
a
my
great
opinion.
return.
No.
He was out there for like most of the goals.
It didn't help that Louis Crevier got injured like at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and had to roll 5D the rest of the game. Maybe making his debut against the Panthers wasn't a great idea either.
And only just having two guys on the right side, so just force Murphy to play a ton.
Can we hear the Murphy clip?
Did it take longer than you expected, or was it difficult?
A little bit, yeah. I've noticed that a lot of injuries lately. It feels like you think you're out for a week or so, and it turns into weeks. So, yeah, they're always frustrating. I'm just trying to stay present through those times and get better. And I feel good now to be back.
Being down to 5 defensemen too. What kind of challenge is that?
It's big, yeah. It keeps everyone in, though, and it would have been nice for us to weather the storm a little bit earlier so that we could have had some cleaner shifts and not guys being stuck out there and playing a lot of D zone. But it changed your game a little bit of making sure you're keeping your energy and you're really getting your breath in between your shifts because you're out there quick.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we said on the post game. Just like the injuries and how that kind of just like extends bad things. And also, dude, I think the Florida Panthers, part of that game was like, I know we're being hypercritical of the Blackhawks, but it's like, I think the Florida Panthers are also just like hot right now. The Verhaeghe, who's had like a pretty quiet season this year as far as like his numbers are concerned. Yeah. He had like 9 shots, I want to say, against us. Scored.
He had a hat trick last night.
And he had a hat trick. Dude, in that game, they went down 3-2 and then started taking it seriously. And it was just like 2 different teams in 2 different leagues. It felt
Once they locked in, the game was over.
Yeah.
Like it was done. If anything, I think that early goal was bad for us because it woke them up and they played the rest of the game pissed off, right? They didn't want to lose to us again and get swept in the season series. So it was like watching an NHL team versus AHL. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't even the same stratosphere out there.
Which is, I know that's kind of loser talk, but like something has to be said for that. It's like, yes.
Yeah, like there's only so much this team could do against like the Panthers. We do not match up against them. Like they're physical, they play hard. Like they shut a team like us down easily. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's okay when we have this, that's a good team over there discussion when it's like the Florida Panthers, the Carolina
Cup
Hurricanes.
Champs. Yeah, like established teams. Yeah.
No, we can't use that for every game.
Yeah, but when you're using that for like Nashville and
that's a problem.
Some of these other teams, that is a problem. Yeah. That is when it becomes an issue here.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, every team's a good team relative to this Hawks team because pretty much everybody except the Sharks ahead of us in the standings. So there you go. Yeah.
I feel like the Sharks and Hawks have played once, but we need a matchup here between the two of them so we can actually kind of settle this.
Bedard versus Celebrity. We haven't seen them yet because we played them twice this season, but he was out both times. We need to see Bedsy versus Celebrity, and not just that, see which team is truly the worst. Yeah.
Oh, so do we not get San Jose for the rest of the year?
No, we get them one more time. Yeah. We get them one more time. Yeah, I'm not sure when, but I know we played them twice, so I have to play them 3 times. Yeah.
All right.
I don't think we're beating them in the tank race, but speaking of tanking, that transitions to prospects. Let's get some prospect talk in here.
Okay.
How about Nick Lardis yesterday?
Jeez,
4 goals on the game, 5 points. I think he has 48 goals in 47 games this season, leads the CHL. Van Acker had 2 goals in that game as well. So Hawks prospects combined for 6 of the 9 goals for the Brantford Bulldogs. That's pretty nice there. But Nick Lardis, I see shades of, I don't know about you, I kind of see shades of Alex DeBrickett there. Like a smaller player, but he's got a good 1T. I could see him on the power play just standing in the OV slot and Betsy's finding him for those one-timers and he's just popping up numbers. Like I thought he might have been a middle 6 guy before, but I think he's got top 6 potential there. I don't know. Like this size is definitely something. We'll see how he transitions, but he could be one of those like, Caulfield DeBrickett types where he just transitions pretty smoothly to the NHL. And he's a 3rd round pick too, so I'm not saying he's going to be that good, but I don't know. I mean, he's been really impressive. He might be the most underrated Hawks prospect. I think he's the new Roman Cancer. I feel like we find a way to bring him up every show because he's always scoring over there. Yeah.
I think the funny thing about Lardis is like so many people in the Hawks media stratosphere were like within the past day or two like put something like Ben Pope wrote an article about him. I think maybe yesterday morning or like 2 days ago. And then immediately after he had this 4-goal game and you'd be like, oh, he scored 4 goals. Ringside General put out a video like comparing Lardis to DeBrincat basically the whole time. And while he was like finishing up the video, he had that 4-goal game. So it's awesome to see that this kid is just absolutely lighting up the OHL. And like, dude, the thing is, like, yes, maybe he's got some of these areas of his game that he needs to improve on. Obviously, he's a 19-year-old kid. But, I mean, dude, scoring goals is the most important thing to do in the game of hockey. And he can obviously do that very well. So I'm so excited to see him play on a line with a Bedard eventually. Just a guy that is ready for those passes and just wants to be fed. You know, he'll rip them from anywhere. His shot in his release is disgusting. And it's not just like one-timers. He's got a sick wrist shot too. His release overall is just nasty.
He's got that toe drag release. But yeah, I could see him just throwing him on the power play and just being a merchant from that standpoint. He'll just rip up numbers in that power play. Yeah.
Yeah, and playing like on opposite side of Bedard, just ripping them.
Get those seam passes going, right? That's something he's kind of missed this year, must be said, in the power play. Because I think he and Kurashev are pretty solid for that front last season, but as we know, Kurashev has fallen off this year. And like, we haven't been seeing as much of that in the power play at the seam stuff. A little bit of Tavo occasionally, but Bertuzzi's mostly those tap-ins in that front. Yeah.
A little bit of a preview here. Nick Lardis may be playing on my Greek hockey team this summer too.
No way.
Ooh, that'll be stacked. Is he be the leader of that team? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Well, I got some other guys that are draft picks and stuff on the team,
but not putting up 48 goals in 47 games in the OHL.
How is he not on the Canadian World Junior team, man? They could have used some of his goal scoring touch there.
They knew I was pining for him for the Greek team this summer. He said,
there you go. That's pretty. Yeah.
He said as long as it doesn't interrupt with, or as long as it doesn't overlap with Dev Camp, that he would be that he's down. So that'll be kind of fun.
That'd be sick.
Very nice. I think that should take priority over the Blackhawks development camp. Nah, I'm just kidding.
I'm afraid the Blackhawks would even maybe be like, "Hey, kid, like don't
want to get injured or something." Yeah.
Like don't.
Well, I'm sure he's probably give like 90%. I'm sure maybe an extra 10% Arsenal so he doesn't get hurt. Yeah.
Oh, dude, he could go 70% and still be lighting it out.
He'll probably be the best player in the ice all his games. Yeah.
No, he's playing Chile.
No, he'd be playing Jamaica. He'd be playing Jamaica, Lebanon, and Puerto Rico.
Nick Lardis 10 goal games incoming.
Yeah, at least on Puerto Rico.
Nick Lardis puts up 13 goals on Lebanon.
We'll have to find a way to live stream those games. Get some like post game shows for Nick Lardis's international tour there.
Before we move on from Nick Lardis, Luke in chat, who is the big O'Brien fan, is already talking about how nasty they are together.
Wait, he's been playing a lot with them, right?
Yeah. So I think they play on the power play unit together, but not 5-on-5. But I think between Lardis and Vanacker and O'Brien, I think they literally accounted for like every single goal almost yesterday.
We could have 3 Hawks prospects in that team. Yeah, there is something to be said. We've talked a lot about who we should take with our first pick, but we have a second pick in this draft. And depending on where it is, it could fall in that mid range, might be where Brian would be slated. We could get with that second pick there, wherever that draft pick falls, and maybe there's an argument there, right? Yeah, from chemistry, and it seems like he's a pretty good player there. Yeah.
Yeah,
chemistry for Lardis and Vanacker. Yeah.
AJ Spellacy, my goat, my 2C, had a sick shorthanded goal yesterday too. It was a game-winning goal too, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was a shorthanded game-winning goal. Just to use his speed there, it was pretty impressive. I think when he gets going, you can see the intangibles of this game. Like he's such an intriguing prospect, man. If he works out, then that's another potential third-round steal there of Kyle. Like must be said, like all the critique that KD's been getting, like. He's been drafting pretty well, man. I know a lot of these guys haven't made to the NHL yet, so we can't really say that for sure. But a lot of these guys, if they develop properly, should transition.
Yeah, I think Mark Lazarus from The Athletic tweeted a video of his goal yesterday and said that he thinks he's the most exciting prospect in the Blackhawk system. And I'm like, dude, come on, bro. Are you watching CHR? Like, you're just stealing my takes here.
But was he being serious when he said that?
I think he loves him. He said.
I like Spellacy, but I wouldn't say he's like the prospect I'm most excited about. Maybe you. I know you're his biggest fan over there, but there's probably a few more that would make that list before Spellacy. But he's intriguing for sure because I don't really expect much of him, and he could be a player there. Yeah.
I don't claim to be a prospect expert by any means. All right, you don't have to say that. You can just be like, I know prospects. AJ Spellacy is the GOAT. And then he said, but just based on what I saw in camp, Spellacy might be the most exciting, not necessarily the best, but the most exciting player in the Blackhawk system.
That's fair. Yeah.
Boom.
Speaking of speed, Oliver Moore had a really nice week at Minnesota. He had a 3-point game there. Good to see him get going, get more production as well, because he's kind of his production compared to last year's been pretty, similar. So nice to see him put more points on the board, whether he's the 2C or the 3C for the Hawks. So he is a very important prospect. Want to make sure he develops properly. Could see him for them this season as well. He's one of those college guys along with Rinzel that could sign the real C's when those seasons are up there. We'll see him at some point. Yeah.
All right, can we move off prospect talk?
Before we do that, I just want to say that was a great transition there by Justin. I mean, you are a pro. I mean, that was.
It's the transition game. I'm getting better at the transitions. Yeah, Korchinski was at the HL All-Star prospect. That's the last prospect thing I have to say. We can go away from that now. Yeah.
Tassos is sick to his stomach.
Not a big prospect guy over there.
That was probably 5 minutes too long on prospect talk, but that's all right.
We didn't even talk about it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, all right.
Would you rather talk about Would you rather talk about Nick Foligno moving up to 19th on the all-time American-born player games played list at 1,206?
That is what tickles Tassos' fancy.
Yeah, and he still hasn't played past the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, so...
That's insane. Yeah. He's probably not going to do it here anytime soon, so yeah.
Yeah. No. My only thought was like, man, doesn't that guy want to go play for a contender here at some point? But you know what?
You think at this stage of his career he would, but unless he thinks he's still going to be around by the time his team's good again out of the rebuild. But I mean, he's 36, 37 years old. I'm not sure how much longer he thinks he's going to play over there, but I think we're a ways away from that.
And frankly, the cap hit now is too high for a contending team to even bring you on, even at 50% retained. Like you might have to get another team
to retain
50 the
remaining 50. Yes.
So and he's the captain. I don't think they plan on moving him anytime soon.
I don't think that means anything at this point right now that he's the captain.
You think even next season he might not have that still? You think maybe they strip him and give it to Bedard?
No.
He's just saying that the captaincy, like if there was a situation, they do it.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that he's you're right. It doesn't mean he's free from. I mean, Trudeau is the captain. The Rangers got traded, but I think that was a different situation, though. I think in terms of leadership, Foligno's done his job, but that doesn't mean he's here for the long haul. I think his contract's only one more year, so yeah.
I think it's obvious though that Foligno's happy to be here, and I think Taylor Hall wanted to stay here too. And dude, I don't
think Taylor Hall wanted.
He said that, but he had a contract extension. He didn't take it, so I don't know.
Dude, what was the contract extension? What was he getting offered? What was the offer?
It was pennies. I don't know.
Yeah. So it doesn't. Yeah. So no. I'm not taking that. Dude, I think the thing is just like these guys, these veterans, especially if they have a chunk of change in their pockets from playing a long career, they come to Chicago, they see the city, they're like, dude, I don't want to leave here. This city's so fucking awesome. We don't do enough Chicago talk on this show.
That's Chicago Hockey Radio, yeah.
Like, this is one of the best cities on the planet, especially in the summertime. It's like we have everything. Like, great restaurants, nice people, beautiful weather, clean city. Like,
when hockey players aren't hanging out here, though, is during the summer.
Yeah, I guess.
They go back to their cottage on, Wasaga Beach, and
they're here the dog days of the Windy City here. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, they don't really get to enjoy. I mean, unless you're a guy that loves it enough that you take a permanent residence here and, don't go home over the summer break, right?
Alex Vlasic.
I think the point's true, regardless of them going to, random places in Canada.
There's something to be said for that, though. Like, people question, why would you want to play for the Hawks right now? It's like why would you not want to? Like, the future, like, it's only up from here.
Awesome.
The city's great. Like, Chicago Blackhawks, original six market, love their hockey, like, bright future, Connor Bedard. Like, why would you not? Like, just because we suck right now, like, that's a short-term philosophy. Long-term, like, it makes sense for a free agent. Yeah.
Interesting development from practice. I'm looking at lines posted from Charlie Romeliotis. First line, Landon Slagger, Connor Bedard, Philip Kurashev.
Wait, what is Philip Kurashev doing up there?
Philip Kurashev, it says here, Kurashev looks to be a placeholder for Donato, who's taking maintenance day today.
Well, there must be something said to that, because Donato and Slagger did play at Bedard the first line a lot during that Panthers game, and yeah, I mean, Slagger's been playing so well. I mean, maybe there was something to be said for that. He's fast, too. Maybe they're thinking that they can build a connection there at Bedsy. So, as long as Kurashev is just a placeholder, because I don't understand why he would be up there. Yeah, but I'll take your word for that.
Nazar and Bertuzzi have been moved down to the third line with Nick Foligno.
This is Anders Sorensen.
Don't love that.
Doing what you just said he should do.
I know Nazar, the last couple of games not as strong, but I do think I don't love breaking him and Bedard up. That must be said. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love it either. And you have the fourth D pair is Allen Levshunov, so it looks like Nolan Allen is still, as of right now, on the outside looking in for Wednesday's game, which is beyond.
How could you look at that TJ Brody game?
crazy.
Even not just him, Alec Martinez. How could you play both of those guys over Nolan Allen, who's having a solid season? Yeah, Domastro's still in the lab too, so I guess he's not being sent down anytime soon, or at least not yet. But I thought that was maybe the next move there. But with Murphy back, but they did call up Levshunov, so I guess not. But yeah, why not a Slagger, Bedard, Nazar line? Like, I don't understand that. Why is Nazar in the third line there? I don't get that. Donato, I guess, but like Slagger kind of does what he does. I don't think you need both of them up there. I think just one is Slagger, Donato, and then Nazar. Like, that's a good first line there.
Yeah, I think Slagger's been playing well, but I don't think he's a guy that you need to put up on the first line. You know.
Well, Donato too. Yeah, I would say more Donato. No.
I would imagine Slaggert's just a promotion. You know, you're using that
A
to be
reward.
like, yeah, it's a reward.
Yeah.
And for Donato, it might be trying to get him a few more cookies.
Boost the trade value.
Yep.
It does feel like they made up their mind there. He has 30 points in 50 games. So he already has the same amount of points he did last year, the entire season last year at the Hawks. So there's something to be said for that. Like, if, you know, in terms of it could be, you know, second round pick, maybe. I don't know. Probably third, but, you know, we'll see. Try to boost that value, right? Yeah.
All right. You guys want to hit a break here?
Sure.
Yeah, I think there's some decent stuff to talk about in NHL Hour.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of trades. Plenty of trades to get to on the other side here. Remember to subscribe and follow us. We've gotten a few subscribers during this time. We're going to break down all the trades. Keep it here. Quick break on the other side. Chicago Hockey Radio. All right, like we said before the break, a lot of trades. Trade weekend around the National Hockey League.
And the NBA.
And the NBA, too.
Just, dude, the past
They're
like
stealing our whole
9
flow
days.
over there.
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Should we spend a minute on that?
Some Luka
deal?
talk?
The or the NBA trying to be the NHL?
Dude.
Yeah, they're trying to steal our thunder over there. They saw a couple big trades to the NHL and like said hold our B over there. So yeah, that was interesting. I'm not a big NBA guy, so I'll let you explain this one. But I'll be speaking Mandarin over there.
That trade made the Rantanen trade look like a Sunday in the park.
Really? That big?
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, Luka Doncic is probably the second best player in basketball. Easily top 3, and he's 20. He's like our age. He's 25 years old. I still don't think there's been a rationale from the Dallas Mavericks. Like, everything that I've heard is that like he shows up to preseason like super out of shape and like he's probably lazy in the offseason, but it's like this fucking kid just took you to the NBA finals. He can show up 300 pounds overweight for all I care. Like, what are you doing shipping?
Did they trade for Anthony Davis? Like,
yeah. It was like, I mean, Anthony Davis is a beast, but like he's no Luka Doncic. Like Luka Doncic is like the next LeBron.
So in Hawks terms, this is basically the Panarin Saad trade on steroids.
This would be like in a couple years trading Connor Bedard for like JT Miller.
Oh Jesus Christ!
So no. I mean, not to like shut you down, but so people were asking. I saw this going around like, okay, what is the NHL comparison to this deal? A trade that it would be something along the lines of maybe, I mean, and you can give us your best, Luka AD trade, NHL trade comps in the comments. I would love to see what other people are saying. I had, maybe like a Nikita Kucherov plus a first-round pick for Draisaitl, maybe, right? Because
too close. I think it'd be more like a Cale Makar for Artemi Panarin. I think is a really good one. Luka's 25. That's also something you got to think about. Like he's 25. He's 25.
How old is Anthony Davis? Like 31
30s,
or something?
Yeah, like 32 maybe.
Okay.
So, but Anthony Davis, like people are talking about him like he's totally washed, and he's probably still.
He was really good back in the day, but isn't he a bit like injury prone or something?
Yeah, but name me a star in the NBA who hasn't missed a ton of games.
Yeah.
Different from NHL from that standpoint. Yeah.
But I think the general consensus with Anthony Davis is that he's still a top 15 player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Right. So
he's a good defensively.
That's why I used the Kucherov example for Davis. Because Kucherov is still a top 15 player in the NHL for sure. But he's a bit like he's on the wrong side of 30, right? And you're trading him for a guy that's part of that next wave of superstar, right?
I think the difference between like Nikita Kucherov and Anthony Davis is like you can have an entire team centered around Nikita Kucherov. Like I'd argue that Nikita Kucherov is like easily a top 10 player still. Anthony Davis isn't like you're not going to build a team around Anthony Davis. They try to like rationalize it, and it's like with the guys they have like Kyrie and Klay Thompson and like some older guys, and they want to win now, and they feel like winning now. It's like you just got to the NBA finals off the.
So then you
back
trade like one of the best players in the league to make that happen. That makes no sense.
No, it's like especially for like the Dallas's future. It's like, I mean, you were guaranteed to be competitive in the playoffs every single season
they just
for the
gave it
next
away.
decade, and you just gave it away.
It's not like you become better now. You really don't. You get worse.
There had to have been stuff behind the scenes there, and like that's.
I've seen some conspiracy theories that like the NBA kind of made this trade happen. I don't know. I guess they really want him in Lakerland there. If LeBron over there. I don't know what you think about that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just think the whole interesting part about this is like you don't really see. So I'm curious to maybe relate this to the Rantanen deal. How many teams were in on Mikko Rantanen, right? Like how open was it that Mikko Rantanen was on the market available for trade? Or was Colorado quietly shopping him and Carolina just happened to be one of, if not the first phone calls that Chris McFarland made, right? Like, you know, I've heard maybe Calgary was in the mix. I heard Vancouver was in the mix. I heard Chicago was in the mix a little bit, right? But, you know, how serious were those offers? Because that was the thing about the NBA deal that kind of sparked me the most, was that the Lakers were the only one that were in on this. And if you're really if you really don't believe Luka Doncic is part of your picture long term,
then you'd be in negotiations. You'd be talking if a bunch of teams get the best return possible. That feels rushed.
So Thomas in chat just told me to watch the Mavs GM's press conference because he was convinced Luka wasn't going to sign or re-sign, which I don't think is true. I think he probably would have, but I don't know. But that still doesn't make sense to, like, it still doesn't explain your point and the fact that it was like they just went to the Lakers. Like, why did they just go to the Lakers? Like,
you're limiting the available return.
If you're you're moving the superstar, I would go on Instagram Live with a fucking megaphone and be like, hey, entire NBA, we're trying to move Luka Doncic. Line up and tell me who's got the best offer. Like, you could have
phone calls from every team in the league.
Dude, Rudy Gobert got traded like within the past like year or two, and he got like, it was like 4 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert's a good defensive player and all, but he's not Luka Doncic. It's like, what are you doing? I don't know. I feel like they should have been able to get heaven in exchange for Luka Doncic, and they got Anthony Davis in a first. So.
To relate to Chicago, the Bulls traded Adam Levine too. What you guys thought about that trade? I think
it's the lead singer of Maroon 5.
Oh, not Adam Levine. God damn it! You know what I'm talking about. Levine. Zach Levine.
Adam Levine.
Jesus Christ!
We got to clip that. That's awesome.
Adam Levine, dude. I couldn't think of any.
I feel like these days, I feel like I have at least like one like major flub every show these days. Like, my goodness, we need to make like a B-Hawk memes blooper reel or gas compilation.
I was gonna say, here. I think Adam Levine's been in LA for a while.
It seemed, but in Hawks terms, it seemed like the Taylor Hall trade on steroids, where the Bulls are kind of a third party. They're in the cuck chair. I don't know if I'm correct in saying that, but
they weren't. I don't think they were part of the Doncic deal.
It was just a separate. The De'Aaron Fox deal, the second one that
happened. The other one, yeah. Was it the Jazz and the Mavericks or something? Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
That's NBA talk.
That's NBA talk. Brought to you by Chicago Hockey Radio. I thought the trade comps to like putting that in NHL terms. You know, I agree with your Panarin. Panarin's probably maybe a better comp to Davis than you know, because Kucherov. The point you brought up was like, you could in theory build a team around Nikita Kucherov. Still, you're probably not going to build one around Artemi Panarin, right? At this stage of his career. So. Good. I just thought that was a fun little exercise to do. I saw like Marchand in a first-round pick for like Draisaitl or Makar or something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that because it's literally like Luka Doncic is as I said a top 3 player in the league. So it's like, but he's 25. So none of the top 3 players in the NHL are 25 years old. So it's like kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
Speaking of big trades, to get back to NHL land here, how about JT Miller finally exiled, or I should say freed from Vancouver at this rate. So that's about time that fight happened. It feels like a fleece from the Rangers' perspective.
First of all, you texted this to us. You're like, man, what's with all these trades happening on Friday nights? Like after we're done with the show
it's like
and all
the
that.
Second consecutive week where a big NHL trade went down, and like the trade deadline like doesn't even seem to exist nowadays. Just a suggestion, like all these big trades are going to happen before. It's going to be nothing to do for those TSN guys over there come trade deadline day.
And it's always when I'm at work. It's so annoying. It's like I want to be fucking, diving deep into this trade and talking my ass off on Twitter, but I can't because I'm working. And there's a like a big hockey fan at my job, and I always, for now 2 weeks in a row, I've like walked up to him quietly and like delivered the news, like JT Miller to the New York Rangers. I feel like that guy, the George Bush video when he finds out about 9/11, like he just had somebody tap on his shoulder. That's what I feel like at work. I would love for it to happen, on a Saturday or something, or like right before a Monday show. That'd be sick.
Yeah,
Sure,
right.
we hear reports of a second JT Miller tenure in New York.
Yes,
He's been reunited in New York land. He had 2 goals and they still lost the game, his first game with them. So that kind of sums up their season there in Rangers land.
He had 2 assists last night, and they won.
They won. Yeah,
they won that one. Yeah, but his first game. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I think it's with now that 2 games have happened and Vancouver lost last night in overtime to the Red Wings. It's just like, oof, did Vancouver make the wrong decision? They got the wrong guy. They shipped the wrong guy out.
Yeah, Alex DeBrickett masterclass, the OT win for the Red Wings. I think I threw out the Vargas comparison that he saw that and put out 2 goals. So I take credit for that. And all the Hawks people copied me now. I see Ringside General that you brought up earlier, brought up the DeBrickett thing. But yeah, back to the trade here though. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure what to think about for Vancouver specifically. I mean, they were always going to get the return was always going to be a little limited just based off of this lack of negotiation power here. Everybody knowing the situation there, the drama and all that. But Filipino, Mancini in a first, like, I don't know if that's a great return there. I don't know about that. Yeah.
So you're right that they were always going to have to sell low on JT Miller. My problem is like, man, did you really have to sell this low? Right? Like, Victor Mancini is a good prospect, I guess, but like, this is a guy that was a 4th round pick from 2022. Like, I guess Vancouver's a bit higher on him than that. But there's a couple of things that bother me about this trade. One, it's not like JT Miller's washed. This is a guy who
hit 100 points last year.
100 points last year.
Yeah.
And clearly, if you look at his career, every time there's an issue, maybe internally or externally, like he didn't have a good season during the All-Canadian division, which, was weird for a lot of people.
He always bounces back.
Always bounces back. Mm-hmm. And so normally when you give up the best player in a trade, you end up losing the trade. My thought was, a couple of points here. One, the fact that the Rangers were able to top 13 protect that pick is absurd to me. Like, I get top 3, top 5, top 7 even, but and look, we can talk about if the Rangers are going to make the Stanley Cup playoffs now, which obviously I think they're in a much better position to do considering they didn't have to give up anything. But, I think this Rangers team is also going to be in the mix for the playoffs next season too, because if the pick is a top 13 pick and the Rangers decide to hang on to it, and obviously that pick now belongs to the Penguins, we'll get to that in a little bit, but, next year it's an unprotected pick, right? But I don't like... The Rangers just had some struggles at the start of this season. Like, I don't see this being a problem for them next season, right?
They bounce back, right?
Yeah, like they will bounce back.
Contender next year.
Even if they don't make the playoffs this year, they will be a playoff team next year.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's how you feel.
Yeah. I mean, a full season of JT Miller, they're going to do some things to augment the roster a little bit too. If you're Vancouver, like, how do you not get a player back like Keandre Miller or Braden
Hedo's
Schneider?
like a middle 6 guy. Like, that's not a needle mover. Yeah.
Yeah, and Hedo still has some potential. Like, I don't want to say that. I saw this funny meme this morning that was like, oh, all the members of the kid line scored yesterday. It was like Lafreniere, Hedo, Kakko, but like the thing was like Hedo and Kakko play on other teams now.
Lafreniere must be next then.
But like, how do you not get a player back?
An established player. I thought that's what they were looking for, right? Like, this seems like the return, because they said they don't want to enter a rebuild, right? Because they don't want to lose Quinn Hughes. But like, this seems like almost like a return that suggests like they're going to be entering a rebuild there. Yeah. And I honestly, like, I know they've kind of said the opposite, but like, I don't get the sense that that's it. Like, do you are they going? Is it for sure that like his Besser's probably going to be gone at the deadline? I guess they're going to be hanging on to Pettersson, but like, do we know that for sure? Like, how do we know that he isn't going to be gone too?
So I think they're going to give Pettersson a little bit of runway now that he doesn't have JT Miller. You've got the Four Nations face-off coming up.
Pressure's on, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. There's no excuses now.
Yeah, there are no excuses now. And if you don't perform, the other thing too is that Elias Pettersson has a no trade clause that kicks in July 1st. Right? So this is something that they could give the runway of until the end of the season and then make this a draft day decision, right? So because then after that, your options are really limited as far as what you can do with trading Pettersson. But I look at this Canucks team now and it just looks like a lot of mid to me. Like,
but I don't see them making a playoff push. I know they're technically still in the race, but like you just sold off one of your most valuable assets, got basically nothing in return. I mean, for now, I don't know. I think the Flames. I think that Lee tattoo pretty much is all but confirmed now.
Oh yeah. Especially.
I mean, seriously,
yesterday.
What other team is going to make a run here? I mean, after the Canucks, who were 2 points out, there's like a 7-point gap there. I'm like, I don't think any of these teams are making a run. Like, it's the Canucks are your best hope there. They just sold off like one of their best players. I know.
It's cooked.
Yeah.
Your point, Tassos, though, when I look at that Vancouver roster, it's like an entire team of middle six guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like that's what their entire roster is. I do have it.
Oh, you have their daily face-off pulled up?
I have the
Rangers if you don't
DFO.
And they have 3 Pedersons now too, because they made another kind of minor trade there.
So let's talk about that one then.
Sure. Yeah.
So they make the JT Miller trade. They get that top 13 protected pick from the Rangers. They ship it off to the to the Pittsburgh Penguins, along with Vinny Desharnais and Danton Heinen, 2 guys that they signed in the offseason that just didn't really seem like fits there. They get back Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor.
It's like you said, it's more mid additions. Like, I don't really understand this trade either. It's like, I don't think this is something like a needle moving type of additions here. I don't know. I'm confused. Like, I would put in the notes, what are the Canucks cooking? Like, I don't know what's going on right now. What the plan is.
Even the prospect they gave up, Fernstrom, that's like a kid that they picked this year. Like in 2024, like this is like that.
You don't see that very often.
No, he's like an 18-year-old kid, right? And for Pittsburgh, like they need prospects like that. Like this guy's not like 22, 23 years old. Like he's 18 years old, right? And apparently the Penguins are pretty high on him too. So I don't know what Vancouver's doing here. I think there's some familiarity with Pettersson because Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin brought him to Pittsburgh from Anaheim in that deal that sent Daniel Sprong from Pittsburgh to Anaheim way back when Rutherford and Allvin were running the Penguins. So this isn't the first time they've acquired that player. The other thing too is like both Drew O'Connor and Marcus Pettersson are UFAs at the end of this season. So I've even heard some talk of like
they won't even keep like.
Well, if it doesn't go well over the next few weeks, like maybe you try and flip them again.
Woof, dude. If you're Quinn Hughes, why the hell do you want to stay here?
I don't think you do. I think we might have Justin on a pause here.
And he's like injured, didn't play last night. Who knows if he's going to play? 32 Thoughts, Elliot Friedman was bringing up, like, who knows if this guy's even going to play in the Four Nations now.
Raven, can you transition us to the full screen while we wait for Justin to reconnect? Thank you.
Situation is just going from bad to worse, I feel like, in Vancouver land.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, this is not... You almost have to make another move if you're Vancouver here. Like, soon you have to make another move. Whether it's bringing in somebody... Can you, like, scroll down to the defense?
Yeah.
You know?
It looks bad because there's no Hughes.
Yeah. You know,
look at that.
They're missing Derek... It's Derek Forbert, Philip Roenick, Marcus Pettersson, Tyler Myers, Elias Pettersson, the other Elias Pettersson.
Elias Niels Pettersson.
Yeah. And Noah Jules. Like, that's brutal, dude. Like, I don't even know what you do here. There were some I heard Elliot Friedman talking today on 32 Thoughts that maybe they look to move their own first-round pick in the draft. I don't know if that is the case. Like, are you really going to, unless you're going to top 13 protect it, right? You know, and you can hope that you're going to be better next season. But, you know, not to like paint the panic picture here in Vancouver, but... you know, why would Quinn Hughes want to stay here?
Dude, and then also, like, Demko's also made it seem like he didn't want to stick around for all of this. It's like you either got to try to bolster this team right now or you're going to completely tear it down. Because I don't see why, why would, especially if you're talking about moving Pettersson too, it's like, why? You think Quinn Hughes is going to stick around for this? Hell no.
No. Who? Hughes?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Especially if Besser's gone, especially if, I have heard Thatcher Demko's name out there a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like this team is rebuild central if that ends up being the case here. So keeping Elias Pettersson or not, like Pettersson has to become the 100-point guy that he once was, and then be able to maintain that going forward here. And I don't know.
He literally has to for it to work out.
Yeah.
And if and that's a tough ask for a guy in this spot. So
you and I are a little close to each other now that we're on the full camera Zoom. We're waiting for Justin to rejoin us here. It should be momentarily speaking.
Besser also is, he's a UFA after this season as well. So it's like, sheesh.
Yeah.
A lot of decisions to be made.
I don't think they want to give Besser $7.5 million on an 8-year deal.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Besser wants to stay there on an 8-year deal either. So it'll be interesting to see here. And then there was one other trade, Mikael Granlund and Cody Ceci going to Dallas. It is a first-round pick and a conditional 4th to San Jose. I thought this was interesting. I think I forgot who made this point, but a lot of people I heard were talking about this as a conditional 3rd-round pick, but it's a conditional 4th-round pick because the condition is that if the Dallas Stars make the Stanley Cup final, then it goes from a 4th. This is just semantics here, but
we're just having fun.
We're just having fun. We're the dichotomy of language here.
Okay.
That it becomes a 3rd-round pick if the Dallas Stars make the Stanley Cup final. But other than that, it's a 4th-round pick. So really, it's a 4th-round pick.
Well,
it's not a 3rd-round pick.
The Stars,
they haven't made the final yet, though. Like once they make the final, then that pick is a 3rd-round pick. But you can't call it a 3rd-round pick. It's a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
Okay. So thoughts on this deal? Like Granlund had an assist, I think, last night, and it's a good move for the Stars. They're a little bit banged up. They were looking for some help on the right side. I know. They brought in pieces like Matt Dumba and Ilya Lyubushkin last season. I like the move. The thing about Mikael Granlund is that he was being he was first line center in San Jose, right? He led the Sharks in both time on ice on the penalty kill and on the power play, right? On Dallas,
you're not doing that.
You're not doing that, right? So I think part of the production for him is going to tail off here a little bit, and maybe he's not going to be the exact same player that he was necessarily in San Jose. I don't think we're going to see quite the fall off that we saw when he was a Pittsburgh Penguin coming from the Nashville Predators. But I just, I proceed with caution here. Like apparently Elliot Friedman said on Saturday Headlines on Hockey Night in Canada that, the Stars were looking to re-sign Mikael Granlund. I'd give it a little bit of time before you re-sign him.
Yeah, don't rush that.
Do not.
Especially, I've got their Puckpedia pulled up here, but look at how many guys they've got as UFAs and RFAs next season. And specifically these guys down here, Wyatt Johnson, Logan Stankoven, but Stankoven's the following year. But still, they've got a lot of decisions to make financially. And now with Heiskanen out, it's like, do you want to go, add to the blue line too here? I feel like maybe Dallas won't be done as far as free agency here or trades before the deadline. But they're an interesting team. They beat Columbus last night. Columbus is so good.
Yeah.
But they beat
Things
Columbus.
you never thought you'd say.
Dude, and also just Dallas. I don't know if they were pissed about the the Luka trade, but the fans in that stadium, in that building last night were rocking. It was absolutely packed.
Stars fans are underratedly some of the best in the NHL.
They really are. They really are. Yeah. They packed that building out. It was a Sunday night, Yeah.
I only have 2 more points on the Granlund CC trade.
Yeah.
One point is like Cody CC probably gets ragged on he's probably like a top 10 or 15 guy that gets ragged on in the NHL for who he is as a player. This is a guy that no matter where he ends up, he always kind of plays top 4 minutes. He was on the team that went to the Stanley Cup final last season, as a contributing member of the hockey team. I understand he's not the most offensively gifted player, but to act like, this is a nobody being thrown in there. He's a player. Then the other part of it is I think this is a really good trade for the Sharks. But I think we're welcoming Justin back into the conversation. Welcome back, brother.
I'm back. Jesus Christ, the poverty internet over here. That is really frustrating. But back now. So we're at the Granlund trade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We are at the Granlund trade. So if
I think Tassos just called Cody Ceci a top 10 defenseman in the NHL.
No, I didn't. I just said people rag on him too much, and that like he was on the team that went to the Stanley Cup final last season as like a contributing member of the team, right? So he's not like the worst defenseman in the NHL either. My point was though, like at what point, and this is a good trade for the Sharks. Like you get a first round pick, you're clearly one of the few designated sellers in the NHL. At what point though do you maybe stop selling? Like, you have to play out the rest of the season here, and you just removed two of your top contributors. That's
Granlund was probably Celebrini best weapon there too.
Yeah,
so. But he's got high value. Like it made sense to trade him, especially if you're getting a first back.
It's going to get really ugly.
But that defense is bad enough as it is, and now you're shipping. I mean, not that CC's that good, but still, without him, the defense gets even worse there. It's just been kind of shambles all season. But I'm not sure if you guys brought this up yet, but it's kind of a random point. But when I saw this trade initially, I wasn't thrilled about it because I was kind of looking at the Stars as a potential, maybe a Seth Jones trade could be on the cards there. But with this, that seems to kind of take that off the table. So that's one less team off of that potential outlook there. Yeah.
Yeah. I just, what do you guys think about? At what point is it too much selling for San Jose? And because you have to like inspire some sort of confidence here. You got Celebrini and Smith and Askarov and Colin Graff and like these young kids on the team, right? That like, you can't give them nobody. You can't give them us to play with, right?
Yeah,
that seems to be a plan with it at the moment.
Might be okay with it. This team, I mean, it's gonna be rough for these last 30 games or so. I hope that then the media starts getting on San Jose's case a little bit. I think once they start getting pumped, or continue to get pumped like 5-2 every single night, I think questions are gonna start to come up. But I mean, it feels like they're really, really going for Matthew Schaefer here.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like they've been getting pumped. Now I just shipped off your top producer there. I mean, they'd say Celebrini, but like Granlund is their top producer and that just makes their case a whole lot trickier. Then you're giving up CC too. The defense gets even worse. But from the Hawks' perspective, it's like, yeah, I look at this. It's like they got those first lottery odds kind of wrapped up there. I don't think there's a way we can out tank them. I mean, they're a point ahead of us in that race, and they have a few games in hand too. And like, yeah, I think we're going to have a hard time beating them out there. So, which I think from the Hawks' perspective, I think getting the second pick, I've said this before, might not be the worst thing. They can take Schaefer, and then we'll get our forward there. There you go. Hagen's the McKenna next year. Delusion, but yeah.
All right. So that was the trade. I mean, you have this in the notes here that you love how all these trades are happening before the trade deadline. It is fun.
Like way ahead of it. It's like over a month before it now. It's like, it feels like every year it becomes further and further away from the deadline. All these trades start happening. Yeah.
Well, also, I mean, there might be so much more left in the tank.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is, but the big ones seem to kind of already be off the cards here. The ones that we've been reminiscing and expecting for a while, like the Miller one, for example. Yeah. I'm sure there's more on the cards. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing too is like, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but like the trend in the NHL is like, why, if you can go get your guy now, why would you just do it? You have an extra 7 weeks for them to assimilate themselves into the lineup. You can see if it's a fit. You can see if it's not. You can see what else you might need when the deadline actually comes, instead of getting a guy like 30 minutes before the clock hits, and then you're left to see whatever happens kind of deal, right?
There is something to be said for that. Sometimes these teams bring in these big fishes to the deadline, but like they don't really have a ton of time to develop chemistry with these guys, and that doesn't always result in results in early playoff exits a lot of times. So, I mean, giving them more time, more runway with the new club, and just to make sure and just kind of get up to speed before the playoffs, it makes sense. Yeah.
Crazy poll, but you guys remember the Ryan Miller to St. Louis trade? That was
a random one.
Yeah, but that one, like, remember, it was like such a big deal when it happened. Like, that was an enormous deal when it happened. And Ryan Miller was like still at the top of his game, really, maybe on the downslope of it. But, and then it was just a total mess in St. Louis. And they got bounced by the Hawks, I think, in the first round.
I think that was 2014, right? I do recall, right? That was weird. Ryan Miller in a Blues uniform. Not the only, Martin Brodeur, played his last season with the Blues, and that was even odder. So
it was like 6 games.
Yeah, like a crazy pull there. He didn't really play much at them. I think did he end up working at them like an assistant GM or something? I could be wrong about that. Yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing now. If he's still there, if he's somewhere else.
He's with the Devils now.
He's with the Devils. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, that makes more sense for him. Yeah.
No, I like that's like the example to me of like, hey, maybe you get a guy in, especially goaltenders, but like obviously we haven't seen any goalies moved, but except for earlier in the year, right? Where, you had Colorado bringing in Blackwood and Wedgwood, right? And those guys, Mackenzie Blackwood has 2 straight shutouts himself, and
Sharks bringing in Askarov.
Yeah, like those are moves that like you're giving a guy enough of a runway to try and fit in with the team, right? And that's what I see with like the Granlund move and the Miller move was like its own kind of thing, like it needed to happen, but the Rantanen deal and all that. So just
for Granlund though, I do think it makes a ton of sense for Dallas because they're kind of banged up a little bit, suffering from injuries. So he's kind of a guy who could fill in that Sagan slot, right, in that top 6 and produce. Must be said, I think he's underrated. Granlund doesn't really get enough props there. When he has 45 points in 52 games or something like that, like just been quietly a solid producer the last few years there in San Jose, a tough team.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here.
Brandon Saad.
Didn't we talk about this on Friday's show? Didn't it break while we were doing it?
Did it break?
I feel like it broke. Yeah, we did Brandon Saad.
Oh, never mind. Talk. Oh, my bad. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to talk more about that then. Yeah, that's fortunate that he's going to Vegas, but yeah, he looks weird in that jersey too. I just wanted to say that because he played his first game with them. I just did not look right at all. But now to the Blues.
I think he just looks weird in general. I'm kind of rocking it right now. A little bit of the neck guard. He rocks the neck guard and he's just got like the super long hair and the beard. I like don't even recognize him. I'm like, who is this man?
Yeah, doesn't look anything like the young kid he was at the Hawks 10 years ago.
Somebody in chat said between the frosted tips and the Blackhawks jersey that you're rocking a very Tony Amonte look right now.
Oh, I can see it. Yeah, that's a hell of a jersey, by the way. Well, by the way, what's the deal with this? The Hawks teased it a few years ago that they're going to bring back the black alternates like jerseys, and we haven't heard anything about it since. So I'm not sure if they're still planning on doing that at some point. But it would be nice if the Hawks could bring those back as some sort of alternate jersey in the future. That's a sick jersey there from Mr. Lee Grossman.
Yeah, shout out my roommate. Shout out my roommate.
He's even the classic logo too. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, that is a cool one.
No player though. It looks like just a plain black, right?
It is. CCM
though. Fair enough. Yeah, very nice.
All right. Finland replacing Miro Heiskanen and Jani Hakanpää on their Four Nations roster with Henri Jokiharju and Urho Vakanainen.
Those Finland odds just took quite a turn there. Yeah, I don't know about their chances at this point. That decor.
Yeah, I don't know if your value pick on Finland is holding up after that.
Ever since you said that, things have not been going well from that standpoint. Not aging well at all, but we'll see.
Well, let's see what happens. I wonder if the line moved, if the odds moved, because if they didn't, obviously there's no point of doing it now. But I mean, still, if they're like plus 900, plus 1,000.
Bro, that Heiskanen, that's gonna be tough to come away with those.
They almost ran out of guys to like pull from the. I think
no NHL players left. I was gonna say that to find somebody from those Finnish leagues or something, but I don't think they'd be able to do that because they all got to be NHL players in this tournament, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there was a list I saw. I might have saved it on Instagram of like the player, and there were like only like 6 or 7 blue liners that Finland had to choose from to be able to.
That's what I'm saying. They probably find some minor leagues. Yeah,
it was bordering on like some minor leaguers here that they were going to be able to try and get, and I just I mean. That's so surprising for a country that produces some of the most elite NHLers and was such a goaltending factory for a long time between like Rask
defense
and
would be too.
Yeah, but like it's like Heiskanen and then everybody else,
Yeah, just a bunch of like third pair guys. I'm sure the Sweden, Canada, and the US are looking their chops looking at that core there.
Yeah, I don't think I can find this post.
They're plus 950 now. So
do you know what it was before?
Yeah, it was like plus 700 when I said it.
Okay, that's quite a drop there. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Losing your top defenseman will do that.
Yep. Yeah. Move the line. If you bet $20, you win 190. Still worth it.
Yeah, the Stars got Cody Ceci to salvage the remains there. I'm sure that'll work out great for them.
Yeah. All right. And then this Ryan Hartman play on Tim Stützle.
What the hell is the deal with this? I saw that. I almost couldn't believe it. I mean, it was. I doubt. I mean, maybe it was intentional. I don't know, but like it was definitely dangerous. And you think that's suspension worthy? You got to think. Surely
it's got to be. If I'm a Sens fan, I am outraged by that. Like that would,
dude, just driving a guy's head in the ice like that. You see the way he was bleeding after Stutz. I think he got away with that. I think he's good, but Jesus Christ, like that could have ended very poorly.
Yeah, I think it just looks so much worse on replay too. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get a couple games for that.
You would think, surely, but I mean, this is NHL Department of Player Safety we're talking about here, so nothing's ever guaranteed.
It's also like, what are you thinking off the draw to like just slam a guy's head down in the ice? Like, it's not even a hockey play. It's not, intelligent. It's not helping you at all. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
I always think of that, like that Todd Bertuzzi. Who was that? It was like what's on the Avalanche Moore? That, like he
Moore.
Steve Moore, that he sucker punched and his head slammed on the ice, and that was like a terrible situation. Like this is not nearly the same as that, but I did kind of think of that as I was watching it. Like, what's the message? Like, what do you gain from a play like that? It's not like you said, it's not a hockey play. It's sets a bad precedent. It sucks too because I like Ryan Hartman, Blackhawks legend, but not a good look for him. Yeah,
Blackhawks legend.
Yeah, here I'm watching.
All four Blackhawks are Blackhawks legends, right? That's the way it goes.
Yeah, it was like a WWE move.
Yeah,
straight onto the ice.
He was given a match penalty for attempt to injure.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's sure as hell what it looked like. I don't know. Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Wild, we were getting pumped in that game. Wasn't that the one they lost 6-0 in Centerland?
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like the rebuild's officially over there. Ottawa's on a tear, but Wild.
They're third in the Atlantic right now. Ottawa.
They're not even the wild card. Yeah, they might not even have to worry about
They're 4 points behind the Maple Leafs for second in the division.
Sheesh.
Imagine we get a Kachuk Bowl in the first round of the playoffs.
Oh, that'd be elite. That would be sick.
Well, right now it's set up. The Panthers are now leading the Atlantic Division, so it's setting up for a Battle of Ontario first round matchip, which would be super fun.
That'd be great too. That'd be even better, honestly.
Fellas, I'm so excited for the playoffs.
I know, me too.
Yeah, I just look at the way these. I mean, a long way to go here, but like we're already kind of getting an idea of what the seeding is going to look like in the matchups, and could be an interesting one this year for sure. Some fresh blood in there. Yeah. I love that Tampa and Boston are out of it right now. I hope it stays that way. Like, I want to see Columbus in there. I want to see Ottawa in there. Detroit, I'd love for them to stay in there. I don't know if they will. I know they've been playing a lot better. I think they're like 15-4 under McClellan, so they could ride that hot hand. I don't know. I still need to see a little more from them to see that. I'm glad my boy Kaner's back, by the way, so I can start watching those games again because I'm not really as in the Red Wings games when he's not playing. But yeah, they've been playing better hockey too. So
every Detroit win that I see, it kind of feels like they're stealing games a little bit. Like they're kind of
like last year,
outplayed and outshot, but then they're like finding ways to win, scoring goals when they need, which is like a good thing. But I'm just worried that it's not sustainable because yes, I as well as you, Justin, I'd love to see Detroit and Patty Kane back in the playoffs.
You worry it's not sustainable, and then how does that translate to the playoffs? Like the game they play, it must be said, not really a playoff style hockey team. There, I'd probably last beyond one round. They can even get a win there. I don't know.
So the Red Wings are now in the first wild card spot in the East. They have a 14-4-1 record under Todd McClellan and have gone on 2 6-game winning streaks.
It must be said. I mean, that's quite a long stretch now we can look at where maybe I'm not saying they're going to play 14-4 hockey the rest of the season there, but like it's clear that they found something with this actual coach there, and maybe they could ride. I mean, McClellan's a guy with experience, right? Maybe they could ride that hot hand the rest of the season there. Yeah.
Also, something that needs to be said is that Tampa does have 2 games in hand on both Columbus and Detroit. So.
Yeah, I see the Tampa the same way. I'm his boss. Like I'm just sick of those teams in the playoffs. Like I like to see some new teams there for sure. New matchups. Yeah.
A few bits of notes here. Kirill Marchenko, this is a tough blow for the Blue Jays.
He broke his jaw.
Yeah.
And he's had such a good season too. Like one of the most underrated seasons in the NHL. So that's a team there that we want to see. I think everybody's kind of cheering for them. That's a big loss for them, unfortunately.
What should Columbus do? Because we mentioned on the last show how much cap space they have. Like, should they go out and buy? Like, they could make the playoffs this year, you know?
Yeah, here's Seth Jones, Columbus. Now, they probably look for a forward now with that injury. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
But they have all the cap space in the world to make it happen. Yeah.
I've heard that they, as far as Elias Pettersson goes, the teams with the loudest noise around them were Buffalo and Columbus. Apparently, had gotten in the mix on that recently. I'm surprised I didn't hear more about them being involved in JT Miller too.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Ohio, so
yeah.
So I thought that would have been an interesting pull for them. Seth Jones maybe. I like that marriage there between Jones and the Blue Jackets. I still think that maybe if you're able to, because they have a lot of defensemen too. So if you're able to move out some pieces and figure it out, then you might be able to bring in Jones, right? But maybe they don't think it's the right move to do. But yeah, no, I like the Blue Jackets, man. They should go out and buy, reward the fans a little bit. Those fans are so passionate, they love the Blue Jackets there a lot. Maybe there's not a crazy amount of Blue Jackets fans,
but they're hardcore.
Yeah.
And they're starved for some playoff hockey. They haven't seen a lot of playoff hockey. They haven't had a lot of playoff success. I think, 2 wins, really 1.5, because one that was in the bubble, playoff series wins in their existence. So it'd be nice to see them not only get there, maybe go on some kind of Cinderella run. I feel like they're a team that could do that. But it must be said, though, goaltending is pretty poor come playoff time. So hopefully that isn't something that comes back to bite them. Yeah, because that's maybe the biggest weakness at the moment.
I just feel like they should do something now. It's you got Monahan, and now Marchenko's going to be on IR too, I'm sure. Go out and get something now. And then hopefully these guys are able to come back by the end of the season, in time for the playoffs and see what you can do.
Yeah, it seems like there are definitely some holes in that forward core now that definitely need to be filled. So you got to think they're working the phones over there doing something. They got to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you got Marchenko at 3.8 for the next 2 years, Go try to do something.
Yeah, Fantilli's been playing a lot better lately too, which is good to see. He's definitely seems to be riding a hot hand at the moment. I think that's helping them out a lot. Yeah.
I think him and Sillinger scored yesterday. So
yeah.
Seeing now too, Matt Barzal is out indefinitely with a lower body injury. That's a tough blow that for a team that had a 7-game winning streak come to an end yesterday. But
he just got back from an injury not that long ago too. Well, what a tough season for him. I got that. Thank you for telling me that, by the way. I got to drop him for my team, but that's too bad for New York there. They had a 7-game winning streak. That must be the quietest 7-game winning streak of all time in Islander land.
I was going to say, we didn't talk about it once while it was happening. And then Tony DeAngelo scores his first as an Islander in overtime against the Lightning on Saturday.
Well, it says a lot.
That's
even after 7 wins in a row, there's still 4 points out of a playoff spot. Even after that, it's not I see that and think, oh, I'm still putts on them and is a potential team there. I don't think they're making the playoffs. I don't know. Yeah. They're probably going to revert back to reality there, right? Yeah.
You'd have to imagine, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're beating these teams.
I'm not sold on that. Yeah.
They're beating these teams by making them fall asleep.
Well, that is Islanders hockey.
Of those 7 games, I think they only have 1 game with more than 3 goals. So it's death by tiredness.
Yeah, I'm falling asleep just talking about them.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, watching paint dry. There's a reason we don't talk about that much on the NHL hour of the show.
Yeah, however many minutes that was too many minutes.
Yeah, let's get away from them.
Do we want to do today's games? Yesterday's games?
There's only 1 game today. The Ottawa Senators and the Nashville Predators, I think, is the matchup on the docket. Yeah, it sends at the Preds. So, go in there and take care of business, Ottawa. Go in there and do what you got to do.
No, for sure. If you want me to take it seriously as a potential playoff team, right, that's a game you got to come away with for sure. Pretty self-explanatory.
You think, okay, so we've talked about the Sharks and the Hawks being the 2 major sellers. Do you think if you're a team looking for some sort of pieces right now that you should be picking up the phone and calling Barry Trotz and seeing what you can do to pull players from Nashville?
They're on a 4-game skid now.
It must be said, besides the Hawks and Sharks, they're really the only team that's completely out of it. I'd say maybe the Sabres as well, but every other team you look at, they're at least within 10 points, right? So you think Predators would be a team on GM's radars, which I do think that's going to help the Hawks come deadline time or as we approach it. The fact that they're one of the only teams that will be selling. The problem with the Hawks though is they don't really have much to sell, whereas the Predators do. So if they do decide to go that route, it would be benefit them to maybe start that retooling process there because clearly it's just not working over there.
Yeah, you got to think they should, right? Do you think you're going to run it back next year and it's going to magically just work out and they're going to be in the playoffs with this group?
I don't think so. I think they got to revert course there, right? They have so much draft picks too where they definitely can make that happen. Mm-hmm. So I'd say trades or prospects make a lot of sense for them to complement that draft capital. They could kind of get that rebuild started there because I don't think you're going anywhere at this core. It's just not working. Yeah.
The only other thing I had was, I don't know if you guys have seen this. This came out during the show. Frank Saravalli leaked the 3 potential logos
Oh,
that have been
I haven't seen them. I'll have
shown to
take a look at
fans.
them.
Yeah, you can go check out Daily Face Off on Instagram, and they
Okay.
have the 3 logos here. Lee, I will show you what they are right now,
Oh, I
sitting
see.
right next to you.
Okay, these all look like on first look, they all look like logos from Shell. Like when you create a team in an NHL video game, like that's what they look like to me. These logos. I don't know if you all agree.
I think the hockey club one is the coolest, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Club. What even? Okay, so it's a mammoth
logo,
outlaw.
if they go with
What
the
is the hockey club logo? Is that a what is
I
that?
think it's a Yeti.
A Yeti with
A
like
Yeti.
It's like part mountain range, part Yeti. Which
How
is,
can they have a Yeti logo but they're not? If they can't use the Yeti name?
Well,
Am I
think
missing something
that's
there?
probably their way of getting
what is
around
their
it.
what is their logo supposed to be if it's the Utah Hockey Club? A fucking baseball bat?
No, just the logo they have now. I don't know.
A hockey crossed hockey sticks?
Yeah, just Utah. I don't know.
It's just a club.
It'd be kind of funny if like both those names on the table they still decide to be named the club. Probably not. You have to think it's one of the Outlaws or the Mammoth, but I think it'd be kind of funny if they picked the third option. We're just gonna be the hockey club. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Mammoth one, honestly. I do agree with you, Justin. They do look like, NHL 25 creative
AI
team.
spawned logos there. Yeah, the Mammoth has some like maybe some Predators vibes to it with that logo, the Sabretooth with like I could see that. Outlaws is so basic. Like I like the name Outlaws, but seeing that logo, I'm like, nah, that doesn't do it for me. They need
the
I guess these are
logo's
just initial leaks, right? Though, like these won't necessarily be confirmed. Like they could still make adjustments, like to the logo. These might not be the logos, or
These
I
are
don't
the
know.
no. Like these are the logos that have presented to the
Oh.
fans. Like this is what's
Okay.
on the iPads.
Oh, well, underwhelming to say the least. But yeah, I'd say of the 3, probably the Mammoth logo, Utah Mammoth. The logo, yeah, I could see it. Look at these 3, like that's the one I could see going through.
The only other thing I have to say, it's too much black.
Yeah, black, like light blue and white. It's an odd combo. Yeah.
Like, give me one more color to like spice it up in there a little bit, right? I don't know.
I also think if they were just white instead of black, like if it was all just like light blue and white, I think it'd look better than the black.
Kind of
It'd
has
be tough to
Kraken
see,
vibes
though.
a little bit. Yeah, the colors.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Anything else? Anything we got here left? I don't know.
Let's see, a lot of games tomorrow. I'm going to see if any of them suit your fancy there.
Well, we'll be doing a post-game show after tomorrow's game. Or no, they don't play tomorrow. Jeez, they don't play till Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. What's the deal with that, man? These long breaks, they drive me crazy. We saw a 3-day break pretty recently too, so I don't know what the deal is with that. Not like they're not gonna have a long enough break coming up anyway at the 4 nations. They go no hockey in 3 days and then 3 games in 4 days. It's like that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, none of these games are really doing it for me. Like Flames, Maple Leafs should be pretty good. Wild Bruins, I guess, is all right. Wild should go in there and dust
Avs,
the Bruins.
Ducks. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But other than that, not really.
Hurricanes,
Not-
Jets should be pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's all these like
matchups of all time. Yeah.
Canadians, Sharks. Does that do it for anybody?
No.
Yeah, mid versus ass.
Yeah. No, I don't know, dude. None of these teams are really shaking the boots here.
Yeah, no, we could wait till the Wednesday show to tee up the Hawks game there against the Oilers. The barn hockey game, as we like to call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. All right. Let's wrap the show there. Congrats, Brandon. I forgot his name there for a second for winning the giveaway. I need to message you those tickets, and I will shortly if you're in here watching right now.
We just don't give them away. We just go to the game instead.
Yeah.
Oh wow, 4 tickets. We have to find somebody else to go with us, guys. Sabotage everything.
Yeah. Maybe we'll take Brandon with us. It'll be the 3 of us and Brandon. No.
There we go.
We're sending
kidding.
Brandon the
We're
tickets.
joking.
We're joking.
Yeah.
The Midwest Coast Brewing, March 5th against the Ottawa Senators. Please
6
show
o'clock.
up. You guys have been so great that if you're local and you're around on a Wednesday, you don't need to get there right when the game starts either. You can pull up a little late,
You don't have to drink. You, can
You
just
don't
hang
have to
out.
drink.
Just vibe with us. Hang out.
Yeah. Enjoy
Shoot the
the
shit.
I
live
assume they have
stream.
food there, right?
No, it's like snacks.
Okay.
It's like, you
I'm
can
coming
get
for a
like,
snack
yeah, they've got
and a
like
Coke.
yeah, exactly.
Or get blitzed with us.
Or if you really like,
Yeah, there we
it's
go.
like good beer,
Yeah,
like it's a brewery, like they're making the beer themselves, and it's It's really fun. So RSVP link, like I said, is in the description of this episode. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram at Chicago Hockey Radio. 5-star rating and review. I hope you guys know what I mean when I say leave a 5-star rating and review every time, because it's super easy to do, and it's like right at the top of the Spotify page. If you pull up our Spotify page on Apple Podcasts, it's at the bottom. You got to scroll all the way down to the bottom. And like when I say leave a rating and review, Spotify is the only one that you just leave a rating on it. Apple Podcast is super finicky sometimes. Like, you could leave a 5-star rating, but maybe it won't count it. But it does count it when you like leave a little comment with your rating. So give us a review. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to know what we're doing well, what we're doing wrong. You guys are great though. Everybody that does that, it really means a lot. Hop in the Discord too. That's where
it's been active, especially during games. It's I was on Sunday.
A lot of yapping. You love to see it.
Yeah.
Love to see the discussion, the discourse.
Yeah.
Questions on Friday, we answer them every Friday. So Raven sets up a little mailbag for questions in there. There's also a poll going on. I don't know if it's still active, but for merchandise too, which we're starting to get quotes on and starting to see what we want to do. We're trying to decide between t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and beanies, like dad hats and beanies. So we might get all of it. We might get different quantities of all of it, and everybody can be free what they to purchase what they want. And we're looking at like jerseys for next season too. So that'll be fun, but probably won't be a this season thing. But I'd love to get the merch going here in like the next week or two, so that way we have at least a couple of pieces to throw out to the crowd at the live show.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
That'd be fun if that would get you guys more of you guys out there. That'd be a lot of fun. So
I also love the idea of the CHR jersey with the Chicago colors. That would be sick.
That would be so cool. I'd wear that.
The Hawks alternate with Chicago colors would be nice. Something of warm up something would be pretty cool if the Hawks did that. I don't know, just an idea.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it from us. No post game. So show on Wednesday and then a post game on Wednesday. Remember, Lee is also live streaming the game Saturday against the St. Louis Blues.
Yep.
That is the last game
one.
before the Four Nations face-off. And then somebody asked me in the chat on Saturday too, when we were doing the post game show, what our plans are for the Four Nations face-off. We're going to keep the same Monday, Wednesday, Friday show schedule during the Four Nations. I don't know if you guys want to do a post game or something like for some of these games. I don't know. I would rather like live stream the games we can.
Maybe the US ones you can do post games for.
Yeah, potentially, because I think we might be at the barn for the USA Canada game, maybe.
I'm not going. I really want to pump Canada this tournament. They've been booing our anthem over there, so hope we pump the brakes off of them in this Four Nations tournament.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
Sorry to our Canadian brothers.
I understand why. I just had to throw that out there.
No, I know. I respect it, honestly. All right, that's it from us. We'll see everybody Wednesday. Enjoy all the hockey between then.